Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rourke with Brad Koima of Koima Bar Lake. Livestock futures to the plus side this morning, as well as soybeans with corn and wheat kind of setting back. And Brad, let's start off with the cattle market. Not a good close on Friday. We had lower weekly closes, but we're trying to recover today. Do you think that we can hold here?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Not a good day Friday. Weekly reversals, all sorts of stuff. Closed, below that gap that everybody had been watching forever on August. Felt like forever anyway on August cattle and October cattle for that matter. So your question is, can we hold? I like to be bullish. I am less so than I've been in quite a while. I think we have to, take a step back a little bit from the market here, just a little bit. And again, I don't want to be, overreact here, but from experience, the cattle market does not like uncertainty. Whether you're talking about ice raids, which largely did not develop at a packing house, a lot of different places, but not specifically to our knowledge in any of the packing houses, although there was some absenteeism last week, as there was some worry about exactly what was happening. Now you've got an administration official that has specifically ear tagged a couple of entities, including packing plants, as being excluded from these raids. So I think, some of the recovery here today is probably, with some relief maybe.
Right.
This is something we traded once before. At the beginning of the Trump administration, we had this same worry with the crackdown, whether this was going to impact, absenteeism and things like that. So hopefully we can put that in our rearview mirror. But there's plenty of other geopolitical stuff going on, whether you're talking about Israel, Iran, or whether you're talking about domestic unsettled things going on within our own country here. So anyway, I there's just a lot of baggage that the market's trying to carry around, and just a gentle reminder, we were at 81.45 at the COVID low, and now we've went up a triple in value. So I'm going to be the guy that says be careful here for a minute.
All right. Well, like you said, with the potential of exempting meat packing plants out of the ice raids and maybe the stock market being up today, maybe that can help us push to the plus side. But this rally was led by cash. So let's talk about where that fell out this week. The South certainly has tried to catch up with the North. But overall, do you think the cash market is starting to look a little toppy here? Are we close?
You are correct in saying that this rally has been led by cash, dominated by cash, drugged by cash, and not just last week, but for weeks and months on end. The pattern has been you start out early in the week when there's nothing going on, you get a break on Tuesday, and then when you get to the end of the week, when cash comes in higher again, the futures finally it's okay, we give up, we rally to, we chase the cash. And last week it was kind of interesting, more than kind of actually, where you had midweek strength in the South earlier than normal, and not just a little bit either. I mean, instances of market as much as $10 higher in the South, and really narrow the gap between the North and South. So call the South sharply higher, and I'd have to call the North barely steady, and instances a couple lower. I know like for like on some cattle here, to one of the big four. A week ago, traded for 242. They bought cattle on Friday, obviously when the futures are down $4 for 240. So let's go with a soft steady in the North, and obviously a sharply higher deal in the South. And I am curious to see what cash is going to be like this week. Show lists don't seem to be burdensome, maybe a little bit bigger in the North, but certainly nothing historically big at all. So I don't know. I would guess the Packer will probably try to buy him lower, and we'll see who wins that little dodgeball game here this week. I would not be surprised if we aren't just a little bit softer. It feels like the Packers got a little bit of inventory, Michelle.
Yeah, I was going to say, do they have enough inventory for the big push for the July 4th demand? That's the big key here, isn't it?
Absolutely. You're on the backside of our best demand period. And you are, getting some of these guys that are buying cattle for after the 4th now, or the week of the 4th, short kill week, blah, blah, blah. Margins, of course, deeply in the red form. So my vibe is not that we've all of a sudden got a bunch of cattle. In fact, I say, like I've said 100 times on your show, that we don't have them in the north, and it's still a not enough to go around scenario here. But from these kind of price levels, folks, I think it still is wise to be just a little bit careful. Helps that we're a big discount. You can break the cash quite a ways and still, break cash $20, right? And you're close to where August cattle are. So, maybe we'll see some, convergence. Typically, you do get some of that by the end of June. So we'll see. I want the people to be a little bit careful up here.
Yeah, and we've had several reversals before that we've come back and negated, but the funds have stepped back in here at some point to buy. They're long over 138,000 contracts now. Do you think that they continue to defend that, or is that as far as they push that thing?
Okay. I'm guessing now because I'm not in this. I'm not in this fund boardroom at all, but I'm not. So I am guessing. But my feeling is that I would guess that the funds don't buy this first break. And it's because it's been such a long, sustained, parabolic type move. When it accelerates like this thing has, that funds change their style a little bit. I think we were very close on Friday to already seeing some of that fund liquidation. So this is good that we're getting a reprieve. We're well off those. We're trading really good right now, close to the highs here again. So that's good. But my guess would be if they start to come out, probably on a second close below 214.50 on the August, or if we would take out Friday's lows, I think that would trigger some selling too. But, we're quickly a long ways away from that too. Although with these stupid limits as big as they are, things can change quick.
Yeah, for sure. Cattle and feed report on Friday should be fairly bullish, don't you think, here with placements continuing to trail lower, especially with the Mexican border still closed?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I was just starting to work on that a little bit. It looks like so Texas, because of the border being closed, Texas is going to looks like they're going to have their 7th consecutive months of record low placements. How about that? So yeah, and that they feed a lot of cattle, so that's going to drive the bus, I think, on that. I sure don't see why there should be anything bearish on that report. I don't even have the average trade guesses yet, but I would guess you're going to see generally, lighter placements, decent marketings, and significantly less cattle on feed. At least be better because we're killing about 5% less year on year, year to date.
Speaking of the funds, they have piled into the hog market in a big way. We've pushed back months into contract highs, but June went off the board. You've got this big premium. So will the futures be able to continue to rally here?
It's a little dangerous for me to step right in front of this thing and say, okay, we just gapped higher into new contract highs, and I don't know if I trust it, but that's how I feel. Hogs are a little prone that way too. Friday's action was interesting. We had it on the ropes, came all the way back to close, basically unchanged to higher, and now we gap higher. Again, here's another market that I maybe for different reasons feel I need to be a little bit careful with. I think gentle reminder: the North American Trade Tariff Agreement was a 90-day hold, and I don't know, are they even negotiating? Are they even talking about what's supposed to happen here July 8th? That'll be here before you know it. And I apologize. But the Mexico, obviously a key partner for both corn and for hogs, so for pork. So we'll see. It's been a big rally. We're pretty overbought. I'd be cautious about chasing the rally.
Yeah, I think they should be excluded, though, because of USMCA compliance. That's my understanding.
I hope you're right.
Hopefully that will be the case. Let's talk a little bit about the grain market, first of all. Soybeans leading the charge here. Soybean oil actually on that big RVO announcement on Friday. Soybeans keep going higher here, you think, following soybean oil, or how much higher do we have to go to work that news in?
We got a one-trick pony over here. The soy complex led by the oil, and everything else is it have to get better just to be rotten between the wheat and the corn trade here. I don't know. I wonder how long that dog can hunt just on that biofuel thing, and maybe a little bit of a little bit of help from the crude oil thing with the uncertainty going on in the Middle East. But then why didn't we get some of that in the corn?
I know.
There's a couple of spots here that you can kind of watch on the beans, like the July beans. testing that old high of 1082. If we can get north of that, you'd have to like it. Right now, I feel like that's the top side of what's been the trading range, and it's probably a better place to sell it than buy it, in my opinion. Corn market, it's like trying to catch a falling grand piano here. The outside day, ugly day we're working on here now. We haven't taken out the lows, but that seems to be about the last thing left to do. Wheat market, of course, is like dragging an anchor around here, holding the corn back. Non-threatening weather.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it still just go back to weather and maybe higher ratings today in the corn? Is that the big thing?
Good weather, higher ratings, and then times how many acres, right? I think we're still arguing about just how many corn acres got planted, or we're debating about what that is. Huge, corn acre got planted. So yes, the corn's got a steep hill to climb, but last time I checked, you can't raise a crop on June 16th.
Still frustrating though when you got demand as good as you do for corn.
So. Doesn't even try. It doesn't even try.
I know. Yeah. I know. I hear you. All right. Thanks so much, Brad Koima with Koima Barley. That is a market now.